everybody, welcome back. It's me, Paul.
And this is your boy Pancake, who is filling in for Nathan tonight.
Filling in for Nathan, and we don't really have anything specific to talk about, so this is going to go interesting.
I think that's for the best.
I mean, like, full transparency, this is way last minute. Even if Nathan was here, we hadn't planned anything to talk about this week at all. I actually forgot to do this podcast this week because I've been busy with other stuff, so this is like the final hour here.
You're basically telling our listeners, hey, don't worry about listening to this one. This is going to be a shit episode, so you're really giving them the hard sell here.
No, well, what I'm saying is, don't worry, this one's on us. This is a freebie.
Okay. Freebie.
Yeah.
That's because we're charging. That's the thing, right?
Oh man, that would be so nice.
Well, I mean, that people do that, so it isn't necessarily impossible. You just have to, I think, have a little bit larger of a listenership to get down with that.
And a richer one, I think. I think a lot of our listener base is like still in high school and in college and stuff, and college kids don't have the most money.
Yeah, I remember those days. I had back when I was in college, my parents would send me money like once a month because I was in bum f nowhere, and literally like it was the king shit if you actually could get a job at a Walmart.
Yeah.
So
because then you have some income coming in to do stuff.
Yeah. And in retrospect, I mean, I should have sold myself and tried harder, because if I had had any kind of an income there, you sort of think to yourself, you're like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to do this studying thing if I have a job at fucking Walmart, as if that's really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in retrospect, first of all, it would have been easy as shit, because now that we're in the real workforce, we realize, oh yeah, going in for 6 hours and using the cash register isn't exactly going to screw over my studies or anything.
Right.
But not only that, if I had any kind of money, oh my god, I would have been hitting up the bar scene. Wait, no, I was in the middle of nowhere, so never mind.
Yeah.
Still would have mattered.
You would have been the king shit at college, though, because you'd be the one that would be able to pay for alcohol.
Yeah, and everybody would just come to me for their, when they needed to borrow money to buy weed. It would have been great.
Exactly. Or you could kill two birds with one stone and start selling weed for your job.
See, that's... You're thinking there now.
Yeah.
I had a roommate that was that got kicked off campus because he was caught selling weed out of his dorm room, and this was or not out of his, it was out of one of his friends. And the story that I heard, which this pretty much solidified, as if it wasn't already a thing, solidified the fact that I was never going to deal drugs. He had people just walking into we basically had townhouses as our dorm rooms. It was pretty nice actually.
Yeah.
But he would have people just walk into the main freaking room and say, "Oh, hey, you holding? You want anything? Whatever."
Yeah.
And they just had one of the campus police knocked on the door. Smart, actually. And so they freaked out, like it was, this is freaking the middle of Pennsylvania. It's not as if this is, New York City. They're running around trying to flush drugs and stuff, and the guy's like looking in the window saying, "Dude, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can't really hide it." And yet they trashed, I think, a couple $100 worth of pot just because they thought that they were going to get away with it. And it's like, no, stupid. One of your clients or clientele went and turned you in. I don't think you're getting out of this one.
Yeah.
Ended up getting off campus. I got a nice golf bag out of it, though. It was in the golf. Aren't they all stoners on the golf team?
I mean, they must be. The snowboard teams up here are all stoners, so.
Dude, I miss college. I feel like I'm really old because I'm saying that I miss college, but I was able to take a snowboard class in college. That was sweet. Of course, I'm terrible at snowboarding, and I ended up tearing my ligament in my elbow.
Do you guys get enough snow down there for that?
Where we were. I mean,
now Pennsylvania, yeah.
Pennsylvania. I wasn't. I'm not here. Not here. I mean, we didn't even get a winter last year. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I freaking, ever since I lost weight, I used to be a lot bigger than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
When I lost weight, I completely lost my stomach for winter. I mean, I can't stand it now. I get freezing cold.
Yeah, you have no more padding.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really funny way to put it, but yeah, it's actually true. I mean, you feel like you walk outside and you're like, okay, well, it's fucking cold. I'm going back in.
Mm-hmm.
Look, some of the gear you get though, especially when you're snowboarding or skiing, your gear is a lot. It's pretty warm. I mean, it's pretty thin, but it's pretty warm. So I still like going out snowboarding and stuff, but Yeah, it's not nearly as much as I did back when I was in college.
Yeah, the trick is for that sort of stuff is to buy stuff that doesn't hold or retain water and keeps
Yeah.
wind out, and then you're fine.
Oh, dude, I thought I was a fucking Tony Hawk. I wore like an Airwalk jacket. The thing was awesome. I mean,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, I've never been a skater. I've never been really what you would consider to be any kind of a legitimate boarding culture type of guy. I was just, some dick with a freaking Airwalk jacket, and
Yeah,
it felt great. It looked nice. I was looking sharp when I was coming down the mountain and crashing into things. It
and
was fun.
you had your stoner friends, so
Yeah,
you were living the life without
living the
having to.
living the dream.
Living the dream. A stoner skateboarder, snowboarder person.
Definitely, definitely. So what's been going on with you, man?
I actually just finished watching Walking Dead season 3, episode 1.
Ah,
It
very nice.
took me that long to get to it, so that's why I was pissed off on Twitter, unfollowing people, because they were saying I knew what was going to happen to one of the characters at the end there because I
Uh,
read it.
yeah. I mean, are we gonna give spoilers here or no?
Um, you know what?
What,
Yeah.
what we can do is we'll say, all right, we are going to talk about spoilerific stuff for 5 minutes. So if you do not want to hear what happened on The Walking Dead episode 1, season 3, go ahead and skip 5 minutes ahead, and we will be getting back to generalities, and I will keep track of the time. How
Well, in
about
the show description, I usually, if we talk spoilers, I put timestamps, so read that if you don't want to know, and it'll
that's
say when we stop talking about it.
that's fair. So we'll give a time for you to pause and go ahead. All right, let's talk about it.
Okay.
So
So Herschel got fucked up.
yeah, and the thing is, I mean, I don't know why this hasn't happened before at this point. Every time somebody gets bitten, I guess they just give him up for the most part. They're just like, ah, he's fucked. Let's just move on. And in this case, I mean, they were doing their whole boss invasion routine, so they didn't necessarily, they have sort of a different mentality. But I don't know why they never tried that beforehand.
I think it might speak mostly to how valuable Herschel is to the group, being the only one with any medical background.
Yeah, but I see. I think I do agree with that, but I don't know as much about the comic book as most people. In fact, I have not read it at all. I didn't want to get it. I'm trying to purchase it, but I don't have money at the moment.
Yeah,
But
and that shit's expensive. There's like
yeah,
three like total hardcover books of it, and they're like $100 each.
they actually have one that's it's like a compendium, which I like that word.
Yeah,
They have the compendium, which is I think
well,
30.
the first 100, right?
No, yeah,
Issues.
it's the they have two of them. So there's I guess it's the first eight of the what is it the books, the first eight books, and I think there's 16 total books. So there's they have it, and it's like 38 US, which is not terrible, but it's more than I really want to spend right now, especially since I'm already reading like 15 things.
Yeah.
Um, so I haven't really gotten into it on that side. I have been playing the games. I'm on about halfway through episode 3 of
Okay.
the game, so I could actually speak to some of that now, which is
Yeah, we could talk about some of that too. I haven't played episode 4 yet, but
I
since
have
you
not.
haven't gotten that way, that's good.
As actually, I do a terrible job of introing me. Although if you're watching these, I'm impressed. If you've listened to them, you know that I'm on the Awful Gamer website. That's one of my pet projects. So for the website, I've been doing a series on the Walking Dead video game,
Hmm.
and so I kind of have to stick back with it because I don't want to get too far ahead of on my personal playthrough of where I am on
On
my
your
video
video one.
one because my whole shtick on it is that I want to play through as a complete asshole because it's counterintuitive a lot of the actions you take,
Yeah.
and it makes for a different playthrough, but there's still a lot of story points that are the same. So I didn't want to get too far ahead of it, so I'm not even up to episode 4 yet. Long
Right.
story.
Yeah, I just haven't had time to get episode 4 and play through it yet, so.
But yeah, cycling back around. The reason why I was saying that is that I don't necessarily know what the expectation is for Herschel's future. I don't know if he's a kind of guy that sticks around a long time. I don't know if he's as important medically as he is in the show.
Yeah.
But we had that impression of him in the show that he's like this doctor and stuff, and he's the doctor. He's the guy that nurses everybody back to health. From the game, we see Herschel for what
like
10
5 minutes
minutes?
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get an impression that he's some sort of a witch doctor in that? I didn't.
No. I
So
think in the game more than anything it was just kind of to tie the world together though of The
it's
Walking Dead.
possible, and the whole having Glenn there thing is the same sort of deal. But I never really got that impression that he was this absolutely necessary medical person. But then again, I've heard from my old buddy Eno Mezzo that in the books they're there's not they're just some characters that don't exist.
Yes.
They kill characters quicker in the books.
Yep.
It's like so I maybe we're giving too much importance to this, and maybe we shouldn't necessarily even judge on that. That maybe it's a completely different universe, just using some of the characters as templates.
Yeah.
So
Well, from what I'm to understand, they're purposefully making the show different so people that have been into the comics still have something to like look forward to.
yeah, and that makes sense. I think that they've done that, or they did that with Game of Thrones a lot too. Although they've done it less than they do in this. Game of Thrones, they do hold, I guess, to the. I'm probably saying that wrong. They do hold to the subject matter pretty well.
Yeah.
There are some differences as well, um, especially in terms of taking characters out or putting new characters in, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Game of Thrones anyway.
Well, if you want to talk in just like a full humanity sort of way, they did spend a lot of time with Herschel at this point, so maybe it was just like a desperation thing. Like, no, we have to get this guy like okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily buy it if they save him that way. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me. It feels like, first of all, they didn't do it like within a couple seconds. I feel like if a zombie bites you, and this is just zombie canon, I guess it's an argument that really big nerds have, and I'm one of them.
Hmm.
But in zombie canon, I would imagine that when a zombie bites you, you have to cut off that blood supply almost immediately, or you're fucked.
Right.
They took, they hemmed and hawed for what, like a minute or two? I'd imagine that blood has to have gotten to his heart, right? You would think.
Like maybe, but then if you look into some of the other stuff they're doing in the series, they're all infected to begin with.
Right. So I guess are we to believe that they're actually dying from an infection? I mean, like an actual like bacterial infection? Are they dying from that when they get bitten by a zombie?
Like I'm not sure, maybe it's just that when you die, the like antibodies and white blood cells and stuff, they're no longer doing their job, so it can take full control.
Maybe. I mean, but they do seem to die on the show.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe it's you have to look at it in more of a perspective as, hey, if some random dude bit me, I'd be in pretty bad shape too.
Or maybe
And if
the blood, like maybe the germ or the bacteria or whatever's causing it in the show or in the universe doesn't take full effect until the blood starts coagulating.
Yeah, that could be it too. So maybe we're looking at it the wrong way, or maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. Whereas, I'm thinking the guy's bitten, so he's getting more of the virus or something like that, so he's going to die from the bite.
Yeah.
But maybe we should look at it like he's going to die from the bite. That he got his ass bit, so cut that leg off to make sure that that they don't have all that much medicine. I'm sure. Cut it off, make sure that he doesn't get more infected, and he's good to go. Except he's a little stumpy. So.
Well, I mean, if you want to look at it in a purely like sterile way, the whole infection idea is really just the catalyst for like bad things to happen. It does
Yeah.
it's for any zombie thing, the way they become zombies isn't important because it's the fact that they're going to become zombies that is.
Sure.
Yeah, so like if you wanted to look at it in a completely just like no bullshit way, it doesn't matter if they're carrying the germ or what happens. The fact of the matter is when something bad happens, like the suspense is now with that character,
Okay.
what his future is going to be. The suspense with all of their characters is that eventually they're all able to become zombies even if they don't get bitten. So more than anything, I think it's just a way to create more suspense for the viewers and for them in the world, more stress
Sure.
than anything else.
That makes sense. It's just I don't know. Like we had seen people get bit before,
Yes.
and when we all had believed at that point that it was the bite was what was causing the infection.
Yeah.
So I guess we put more of an impetus on the fact that they have to immediately kill them or whatever. Maybe that's a little bit different than the reality of their situation, which is the fact that they already have the virus anyway. So I don't know. it's an interesting little discussion there in terms of what it means that he was bitten. But I mean, at the end of the day, if they went through the trouble of cutting his leg off, I don't think they're going to kill him off like
No,
right away.
I don't think so either.
But now let's think about it if as Paul and Mark wow, I'm just giving my name out there. Well, I don't care. My name's Mark. Hi, I'm Panic Knife. Panic Mark. Um,
Panic Mark.
yeah. So no, just from Paul and Panic, the two other survivors that they haven't had on camera the entire time. With Herschel being hobbled like that now, you're pretty much stuck.
Yes.
If you want him as part of your group, if you want that additional medical care, which stupid bitch wife is going to need. I
Yeah.
hate her.
Yeah,
She's
Lori.
having, yeah, she's the worst.
Yeah.
But if you've got a chick that's having a baby here, you can't really very well abandon the only person who might be able to keep them alive.
Yes.
So they're pretty much anchored into that prison, which knowing like vaguely a tiny, tiny bit about what's going to happen, and this is just from the fact that I read the titles of the books.
Hmm.
I think that they needed a reason to really anchor them into that prison.
Yeah, to keep them there for a while.
Yeah, and
Well, I know the prison is the story arc that a lot of fans of the comics were looking forward to. So apparently, this is a big thing that they're doing this season.
yeah, and I don't know. Obviously, I've never read the books, so I don't know if Herschel actually got his like chopped off in the books and all that. But if it doesn't, if that didn't happen, this is a good excuse for them to stay.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big storyline twist. The fact that he's now going to be, I guess probably for a little while, he's going to have time that he's going to have to recover.
Yeah.
He's,
Well, I mean, he's a burden now. Like he's just straight up a burden.
And if you think about it, the people who were previously around, i.e. Shane,
Yep.
would have opted to kill him, I'm sure, in that situation
Instantly.
rather than
Yeah. Instead of cutting his leg off, he would have put a bullet between his eyes.
which is interesting that Rick, while they're trying to play him off as somebody who's really starting to get it, starting to become that survivalist.
It still shows that he has that humanity from before.
Which is I think is an outstanding thing. Now, what did you think of the pacing of the episode overall?
It went a little too fast for me, and I think that might just be because of season 2 going so slow. Okay, so just straight up, I'm a straight Roman Polanski film fan.
Okay.
And so I am the type of person that will sit through something for 3 hours for the 10-minute payoff at the end. So when they're just kind of going and going, it just left a really weird feel because the second season did such a good job of pacing with the characters, with the development, and then something happening at the end that it made me crave more. And I'm just worried that if they keep trying to cater to almost more of an action oriented fan,
cater to me. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that I might lose some interest in it. But I mean, that's still not a huge worry because I am a huge zombie fan. Right. So the fact that there are zombies in this means I will watch it, and that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I had some problems with season 2.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I watched the whole thing. I know some people that that just completely dropped off on season 2 because they were like, this is going too slow. I can't handle this.
Absolutely.
I didn't hate it, but the fact that they spent so much time developing characters that I just didn't care about really started to bother me.
Like Andrea?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Her entire story arc, I could have done without. I don't know if she's a big character in the book, whatever. I'm sure that there's some purists out there that'll probably be upset with me there. Although I think a lot of people hate her too.
Yeah.
But just the whole mincing, whining. Does she want to kill herself or not? Blah blah blah. I just didn't care. I mean, the thing is, there were, I'm sure, in this environment, people who killed themselves quite a bit. It just is what it is, man. That's how you end up. That's what happens in an environment with a post-apocalyptic environment. And if she makes a decision, that's great. It's not great, I guess, but if she makes a decision, okay. If she doesn't, okay. But stop just dragging it along and stop making it so that she's just completely, for no reason, harming the group. And then you think, okay, you're building up to that seminal point where it pays off towards the end.
Yeah.
maybe in that encounter with Shane and Rick, that fateful encounter that led to them, stalking off into the woods and killing each other.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, maybe that's the point at which she makes a difference, and then she just pansies out of the decision. Or
Okay.
actually, no, she did make. I guess she sided with Rick, but it was like she didn't really fight that hard for it. It wasn't like that was her opportunity to become a big character.
Yeah.
That it was nothing. It was like, okay, well then she disagreed and she goes back to shooting characters that I like in the ear. I mean, it's like what is the point, And I think to a certain extent with Daryl too, you're running into a situation where he's going to get to that point too. He's been kind of hinting at taking more of a leadership role for probably, chronologically, what, like 7 or 8 episodes now?
Yeah.
Ever since the episode with the flashbacks,
Yeah.
he's been hinting at, this character is going to be he's going to mean more. He's going to be, taking more of a leadership role. He's going to be kind of a counter to Rick in a good way, but he's still sitting on the outside and he's not really doing anything. And I just, at a certain point, a guy like me who isn't, I'm not the kind of guy who likes to watch a 3-hour movie to get the 5-minute payoff. Now, that being said, if the payoff's really good, I will watch it. And I am stubborn as shit, so I'll sit through it.
Yeah.
I won't like it, but I'll sit through it. I still, at a certain point, I gotta get something out of this, and I'm not getting it yet. And that's the problem that I felt was really evident throughout season 2. That there was a lot of things where there should be a payoff coming, and it never came. And okay, you've got once the second half of the season rolled around, where the Shane and Rick thing came to a head. That was great. I really enjoyed. Obviously, I mean, how could you not? The barn situation when they finally. Oh God, and that's the other. That just reminded me of what I was really hating about season 2. The fact that they spent 6 episodes talking about how they're gonna search around and find the.
And they never opened the giant building.
Opened the fucking barn, and not only that, opening up the barn just completely nullified like 5 episodes of it. It was like, okay, great, that was a nice turn. It was a heartbreaking scene. Why couldn't you have done that 3 episodes ago?
Yeah.
Because they were developing characters to an extent.
Well, I mean, in a cynical point of view, it's because they needed to fill 13 episodes. Whereas the first season only had 6.
Not wrong. You're absolutely right about that. They had to fill the episodes. They had to go through the whole thing. But that you had 4 episodes right there or so. I mean, I'm probably exaggerating, but you had a number of episodes where the entire focus of the entire point of the show overall, despite the fact that you're developing characters, the entire point of the show is we're looking for this girl, and then all of a sudden you just completely nullify that entire storyline in 1 minute, and you realize, damn, they could have done that 3 episodes ago. They didn't need to waste that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, okay, you're building up Shane as a bad guy. You're building up Rick as a conflicted hero.
Yeah.
But man, that was already happening. You already saw that from the moment where he killed the dude. Or, he shot the dude and left him for dead. You didn't need it to happen over and over again. I don't know.
For me, I think season 2 struck more resonance in the parts that were the payoff. Specifically with Rick, a lot of the beginning episodes were just about finding the girl and making sure his son and wife are okay and all that sort of thing. And then there's this one 5-minute part where they are in a bar with Herschel and 2 dudes roll in and they just start talking to them and acting a little off, and Rick knows something's a little off. And then he just pulls his gun and fucking wastes both of them. You can see that Rick is starting to learn that this is a different world, and this is where he starts breaking down a little bit. And then the Shane stuff after that builds onto that, and you can see him start to tear a little bit at the seams, because he was very much the lawful good, and now he's more of a chaotic good.
Well put. And that continues on with this season too.
And with Andrea specifically, she is an annoying character. However, all of season 2, when she was spending all that time, with this whole I'm gonna kill myself thing, I'm really interested to see what's happening in season 3, because as it stands, she's the only one that got separated from the group that's still alive, and she is with arguably the strongest female character in this world, with Michonne.
Okay, can I let me I want to get to that. Do you watch Game of Thrones at all?
I've seen half of the first season.
Have you read any of the books or anything like that?
No, I mean, I gotta be honest, I don't care about the books.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm a huge reader, so I'm into that,
Oh,
and
I
I
love books. I
really,
just don't care about those books.
I really ended up enjoying them. I thought they were just going to be poppy and whatever, but they're actually very well written. It doesn't matter. The point I was going to make is that there's a lot of people that love Stannis Baratheon,
Yeah.
who is he's the for those of you who don't watch the show or don't whatever, you, he's basically the true king, but he's not really the king because he was not crowned. Joffrey was crowned at the end of season one.
Hmm.
It doesn't really matter. The point is, the people who read the books are enthralled with Stannis. They love him because of something he does later on.
Okay.
When the show brought him on, I didn't give a shit about him because I hadn't
Hmm.
read the books at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing nothing but people say, "Oh man, this character is amazing. He's strong. He's powerful. He's this crazy personality, conflicted, AK or whatever, whatever, whatever." 7 episodes into this last season, and there's only 10 episodes in the season. Still didn't give one shit about him
Yep.
because all he was, they brought him on screen for very short amounts of time. He would do something kind of cool and then be off screen. Whereas we had, characters like Jon Snow or like, Ned Stark in the first season, and then,
Well, I mean, all the Starks, if you want to get into that.
sure, yeah, we could say that. Who we've been so carefully built up that we understand their personalities, we kind of understand their motivations, their decisions. We get nothing from Stannis Baratheon. I fear, bringing this background full circle, that's what I do, baby. I fear that and I don't even remember the character's name, the chick, but I can see that happening here. I can see that possibly happening. I don't necessarily know that it's going to happen for sure, but right now, from what we've seen, and the 2 times we've seen her walking around like a badass.
Yep.
She's not, cutting zombies' heads off. She's got those crazy boyfriends of hers that are walking around with her.
Yep.
She's had like 2 lines.
Yes.
I don't know why I should care about her yet, other than the fact she seems cool.
Okay. As so, I haven't read the comics, but I do know plot points.
Sure.
Some stuff happens.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about that. Going back to Andrea, though, specifically, is that I was really interested to see at the beginning of two and the end of one ish around there, how she
Okay.
went from this fragile little creature that just wanted it all to be done to she's actually starting to develop into a strong survivalist because she's still surviving. Like at the end, or in the little part that she's in the first episode of season three, she tells Michonne to just leave and she's going to be a burden and all that thing. And then she just kind of reaches out and says, if I stay here, I'm going to die.
Right.
Like, so, like, it's just weird seeing this character shift from someone who was so apathetic about life and her own life to actually reaching out and asking for help.
Okay.
So, like, I see her character starting to grow a little bit, so I'm intrigued by her. But more importantly, I'm finally intrigued by Carl.
I'm not.
No?
No. He still annoys me a little bit. I mean, he's not as bad as he was last season. He was the worst last season. I mean, everybody's seen
He
the
was
that
never in
because
the damn house.
yeah, everybody's seen the memes
Who
about
was in the
it.
house, not Carl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, everybody they're actually pretty funny memes, but
they are.
his character is just annoying last season. It's not quite as annoying because they're giving him things to do. I just still don't see again why I should care about him, other than the fact he's Rick's son. He's turned himself into, especially with that moment at the end of last season where he got who did he get killed? I forget.
Um, I forget his name, the old dude that lost his wife.
Right, right.
I
He
just
got,
can't.
oh yeah, I know who you're talking. I can't remember his
Dale.
name now.
Dale's
Dale.
his name.
Uh,
Yeah.
He got, he got Dale killed,
Yes.
and that, I guess, was the turning point of his character, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's everything he did was annoying. Every time he would leave the house, it would get everybody screwed up, and it's like I guess I started to hate his character a little bit because of that stuff, and because he was just kind of a whiner. And I guess the another part of this is just the fact I don't like kids.
Mm,
In real life, I'm not a kids guy.
yeah.
So I see his character and what and his actions, and I just look at it and I'm like, ugh, it's so yeah, so selfish, so childish and all that.
Right.
Okay, now he's carrying a gun, now he's shooting things. That's great. At least he's gonna not a complete waste, but Yeah, I mean, now they're doing like weird things where he's trying to date a 20-year-old. And
Yeah.
I feel really uncomfortable with the fact that he's trying to hit on that girl and she seems kind of hot to me. And I'm like, okay, are they trying to make her out to be 16? Because it didn't seem like it before.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, how old is she really here? And now we've got a 11-year-old hitting on her. So that's weird.
I think
I
more
don't
than
know.
anything, Carl in season two, actually, I completely agree. He reminds me everything I don't like about kids.
Yep.
And it's this whole, like, it's interesting though, because that whole season until the last couple episodes, he was really the embodiment of the impetuous of youth in this terrible apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, we see him that he's been forced to grow up with Rick as his no longer really dad so much as a mentor. So
Sure.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that, because I think the story arc is really interesting to see a child having to like learn to like go from everything's okay, you can go play out on the trees and stuff, to like, no, you will get fucking killed or you will kill somebody. You have to be responsible and you have to do this and you have to be able to like kill your father if he turns. So like
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with him specifically, just because seeing where he came from, I'm really intrigued at where he's going.
Yeah, I'm see, I'm torn. I'm the kind of guy who I need a lot of not necessarily action, but actions. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So, on the one hand, I think that it might be interesting to see how they develop the character, like whether he takes a turn for the, oh, I'm sad. All I have to do is, I have to follow the group and blah blah blah. I don't want them to really get into the character arc that much though, because I think that that was part of what I didn't like about season two
Hmm.
was when we were, especially with the women.
Yeah.
Um, all those scenes with the women where it was like, oh, this is we're all upset because all we get to do is dishes while the men go and do the important things. It's like I didn't feel that that was really something that I needed to see. I don't know, and so that the whole emotion behind it all, the whole character development in that perspective, I wasn't really into. But see, I think that for this to go through and for him to be a character that I care about, you're going to need to do some character development scenes that I typically don't like.
Right.
That being said, I think that like you said, there's some potential for, just from a human perspective, that if he grows up and realizes that this necessity to really help other people out rather than being so selfish, the whole stages of development you're getting out of the stage of development where you're just totally selfish and getting into the more, yeah, if you have to grow up quickly that you have to bypass that stage of development completely. That could be an interesting thing to explore. I'm just worried that if they spend too much time on it, they're going to get me away from the things that I really enjoy about the show, which is the fact that, the forced decisions based on the, terrible situation. Which I
Right.
think that's where zombie literature, that's where zombie culture really thrives, is the
Absolutely.
fact that you're making people make
And
decisions that are
video
just
games, actually.
showing the consequences. Exactly. And
Video games are really good for that.
that's why the Walking Dead game works, because a lot of the times you have to make a quick decision that you can't take back,
Yeah.
and then you have to live with the consequences, which I think is part of the strength of this genre, of the apocalyptic genre. So that's where I feel like when I enjoy the show, when it's doing the right thing, when it's when it's really touching me. Whoa, that's a little weird. I slipped that one. But when the show is really reaching me, I guess is the better way to say it, is when we are seeing quick reactions that have to be made and the consequences thereof. Not necessarily the, well, Carl is now upset because he's not getting to grow up as a kid. I mean, I care about that, but I don't. I don't know.
Right.
Hard to
Whereas,
explain.
like, you want more of the, like, he just watched this guy, this old guy, that, like, he was irresponsible. He just watched this guy he was kind of friends with get torn apart in front of his eyes.
Because he wanted to play with the fucking zombie.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you just want more sort of those things and not so
Yeah,
much the lead up to it.
I think they can do it too. I think they can develop the character without over beating us over the head with it. I think that's probably what I didn't like about the last season, is that they beat us over the head with a lot of that stuff.
Mm.
I mean, you can make it a couple of just like a couple sentences where the kid's like, well, I have to take another watch because my actions caused X person to die. It doesn't matter that it's something like that. You don't have to make it a whole episode arc where he storms off into the desert, or not the desert. They're clearly not in a desert, but storms off into the field and runs away because he's being a bitch. It's like I don't need those types of things. I just need quick things that are showing you how he's developing, and then get back to the actions that are or the decisions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of brings me to Lauren Cohan's character Maggie a bit. I'm really impressed with what they're doing with her. Like, she's always been kind of the farm girl, even in season 2.
Yeah.
But like, she never really wanted to get her hands dirty, and in this, she's up with the boys doing a lot of damage herself.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah.
Do you think she's hot?
Yeah, like in this episode, for sure.
Okay.
I didn't think so in season 2, or at least I don't remember that being an outstanding point in my mind.
I remember she seemed like she had a big jaw.
Yeah, always. And like, maybe she still does. I think
I'm sure she still does.
I think specifically with the first episode of season 3, though, a big part of the attractiveness of her comes from, I get to see her like take this change more, where she's actually up front with the guys doing stuff. Because I've never been one to like, I don't like the damsel in distress, and I don't like the whiny bitch.
The worst.
Yeah, exactly. So to see that, like, her character is actually, to be fair, every single character now is doing a lot more than they were before, except for Lori.
And she's the worst.
Yeah.
I would completely agree with that, actually. And I didn't mean to completely railroad your point there, so I apologize. Here's what I like about it, and this is why she differs from Andrea. And I'm glad that you actually said Andrea earlier, because I didn't remember what her character's name was either. Apparently I'm terrible with character names. But the reason why I hated Andrea and I loved Maggie in that first episode was that Andrea, every time she was doing something, she wanted everyone to know that, hey, look, I'm carrying a gun. I'm sitting watch.
Yes.
I am the chick, the badass chick with the gun.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you're looking at her, you're like, bitch, you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing. It's not that impressive. Maggie didn't jump out at me as somebody who's like, oh, look at me, look at me. She just got in there and fucking did it.
Yeah.
Which that was a little hot. I mean, I like that. I like the fact that she didn't need, the validation of everybody to get involved. She just realized, hey, look, I'm an able-bodied person. I can do this. Let's get this shit done.
Yeah.
Which I did like that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a big fan. Like, I've been looking a lot into lately. Well, not so much recently, but like in the last year or so, I've been paying more attention to gender roles, specifically in media.
Sure.
And like gender stereotypes and stuff, and like the archetypes of females that their characters are usually put into. And
Sure.
It's nice to see more stuff is really breaking out of that. And as soon as I watch more Game of Thrones, we'll revisit this conversation, because I already have thoughts about some of the female characters in that.
I would love it if you watch that show, because or read the books, but definitely watch the show, because I know that a lot more people watch the show than read the books, considering they're like 7,000 pages.
Yeah.
But there is a gold mine of conversations about that sort of thing. So
yeah, I'm really interested, because I'm only 4 episodes in, and I can already see about 3 female characters that I'm already more intrigued by than any of the male characters.
There are some fascinating characters. Arya Stark. I mean, we could have an amazing conversation about that. So yeah, definitely get involved with that. We'll have some good episodes here in the future if you do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But getting back to let's roll it back here to The Walking Dead. What do you mean exactly in terms of these characters? Are you just talking about Maggie specifically, or do you have any other?
I'm actually talking about all of them. Like even Carol to some degree. Not so much, because she doesn't do a whole lot, but she was very. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm just gonna be PC and say annoying in the first one, because like I can understand it's the whole like mother's plight or whatever. She's looking
submissive.
Absolutely. And in this one, like the little there's one spot where she's talking to Daryl and she's kind of like playfully flirting with him, and that builds her character.
An entirely different take on that one. Go ahead. Sorry.
That little conversation builds her character in my mind so much, seeing that she's gone from like this person that is just kind of moping about her daughter or whatever and just doing whatever the group says, and she's starting to really take action with what she wants. Like she could see like, oh yeah, I want to fuck this guy, kind
Sure.
of. So, but like more
Well,
than
I want
anything, she opens up.
fuck Daryl, man. That's my boy.
I love Daryl.
He's great, and apparently he's one of the characters that doesn't actually exist in the story. So
Yeah,
they've done a great job in creating him.
I think they
Okay,
needed to though.
yeah, they did. I mean, he's a great character. He's
Yeah,
absolutely great. So here's the thing. Maybe this is me projecting my Dr. Drew-esque thought process on her, but I feel like this is just another act of submission for her. That she's going to try. You know, her husband's dead,
yeah,
and he was killed by the other people. She didn't really like that. She
yeah.
didn't love it, or she didn't love him. But when it first happened, she wasn't thrilled by it.
Well,
She was pissed off about
it's the whole
Shane.
like Stockholm syndrome cycle of abuse thing with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I think that was clearly her being, or them portraying her as weak.
yeah,
I feel like from like I said, the psychoanalysis Dr. Drew aspect of this whole thing, she's just latching onto Daryl because she's a strong guy and she needs that strong guy to be, just a subservient woman. And the thing is, as somebody who I actually am very interested in gender roles as well,
yeah,
um, I want her to survive and be that kind of, like you said, getting hers,
yeah.
and being strong and being a good character without having to resort to, I need to find another clingy guy. And granted, they didn't necessarily do that with it in this episode. I just see it coming,
Yeah,
and
okay.
it frustrates me to see that. Like, I don't understand why people, and this is probably a personal problem. I don't see why people identify their success and their lives based on their relationships.
Hmm.
It really frustrates me to see that,
I
and
have been guilty of this in the past.
I think we all have.
Yep.
But it frustrates me, especially when we use it as a gender role for women. Um,
Yes.
who thought we'd be talking about this, by the way? But it really frustrates me to see that a lot of these people self-identify their worth based on their relationships, and the fact is that I think we can do a lot more different things with Carol, and they haven't explored any of these things yet necessarily. But I think we can do different things with Carol without making her, I need to have a boyfriend, I need to have a husband, I need to have a kid, and then that's my role. I
Right.
just don't. I see that going down that path again, and maybe that's just me, like I said, projecting my knowledge of whatever psychology or whatever, my armchair psychology.
Yeah.
But it's just I see where it's going, I think, and I don't like it.
That could also just be a side effect of all the cynicism towards women and relationships specifically in this sort of media, though.
That's true, because the thing is, I mean, how many strong female characters have you seen in a zombie story? You know what I mean? They're
Like in
always,
the past,
yeah.
um,
Thing.
Barbara in Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
That's really it. And
Yeah.
even then, like I wouldn't say she was strong so much as she had the urge to survive more than a lot of the other characters.
I look.
I wouldn't say she was like personality strong or anything.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I look at characters in one of my favorite zombie novels is Day by Day Armageddon.
Uh-huh.
There's really no strong female characters in that. Now, granted, a lot of that is due to the limitations of the narrator. I
Yep.
mean, you've got a first-person narration there. That's going to be hard to really truly identify with characters, but all females are in that whole story is just an excuse to have the character sort of reach out in a relationship. They're not. There's no real strength in it. She's okay, but she's nothing special. There's no crazy development going on there. It's just she is what she is, and that's just how the story goes. You know what I mean? It's just there because they needed a female character.
Just
And
jumping onto a quick tangent quickly.
sure,
Well, kind of. It deals with female like characters in zombie situations. The
sure.
video game Lollipop Chainsaw.
Oh God.
What are your opinions on that?
I heard it's a terrible game. I mean,
Well, okay, I love it, but
really?
that's fine. Yeah,
The
no,
gameplay wise is what I was saying. You like the gameplay?
yeah, I like those type of games. So I like the hack and slash type things, like Devil May
Fair.
Cry and stuff. So
By all means, no. I mean, this is ignorance. This is the reviews that I've seen. That's all. But
I guess I'm talking more specifically about a cheerleader in like scantily clad, um, like attire or whatever.
I'm going to come off as being overly feminist with this, which is kind of strange for a guy to be feminist, but I think it's exploitative. I mean, I think the only reason why they're doing it is just because, they see zombies, A, B, somebody scantily clad, and then C, just the average gameplay that plays off the fact that she's in a fucking bikini, and
Okay.
they expect that guys are just gonna flock to it because they're like, oh yeah, bro, I'm playing this game where there's a chick and she's in a bikini and zombies, rah, 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 rah.
Right.
So I think it sort of plays into our culture's bro dog mentality.
Okay. I'm gonna take the opposite stance, and what I
Okay.
see is a strong woman empowered by her, like she's comfortable with her own sexuality and body. She's kind of silly and stuff. She never really like there's some innuendo in the game, but she never really specifically brings it up. So like she has a decent head on her shoulders with like the whole topic of sex and like sexuality. But what I see is a woman walking into a school, and then the zombies kind of represent like normal high school boys. Everyone's trying to grab her and have their way with her, and
Okay.
she's powerful enough to bring out a chainsaw and cut everyone's head off. Like she can push them away, she can kick the shit out of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm taking that approach where it's more of a commentary on like all the zombies and monsters and stuff are all just like, if you looked at it in a high school sense of like normal guys, they're all just like trying to get one thing from her, and she's kind of denying all of them while still being like secure enough with herself.
I will say that I can't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, and I will also say that you might be reaching a little bit, but that's just completely my opinion. I mean, you might be right. I think it more was along the lines of the developer thought that they could get some hits off of that sort of crazy. I can't think of the term, but the fact that it's not something you'd see every day.
Well, I mean, if you want to go based on just the pedigree of Grasshopper Studios and specifically Suda 51, I think the conversation went like, how about zombies and a girl that's a cheerleader? Done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They just kind of do. They are exploitative. I mean, Shadows of the Damned was an exploitation of every B-rated horror film that they've ever
Yeah.
saw.
And that's, like I said, that's where my opinion is coming from. Is
Right.
the fact that, and not necessarily with any knowledge of the studio, more of a knowledge of the gaming industry as a whole.
Yeah. At some other point, we will talk about the gaming industry as a whole because I think it's a disgusting industry when
It's
you
the
get
worst.
into the nitty gritty of it.
The
And
nitty-gritty.
like, and I think the sexual politics that go in on there not only make women look bad, they actually make men look worse.
Well, it's kind of a self-defeating cycle here because you're looking at it where they're going to make it more attractive for men, and then in that or, the reason for that is the fact that women don't buy games, they say anyway. I mean,
Mhm.
and granted, I'll show you the AdSense on my channel gives me analytics or whatever, and our viewership's I think 80% guys, so I don't think they're necessarily wrong. But
Yeah.
the thing is, you have games that appeal to men, so women don't buy them, so they make games that appeal to men. So it's a bad cycle there because you're never going to really appeal to women if
Yeah.
you are creating a culture where from their perspective, even if you could take a different take on Lollipop Chainsaw, um, games like that exist,
Yeah.
and women see that and think, oh, what kind of fucking joke shit is this,
I guess what I'm
And
saying more so than anything though is that like even though women might be disgusted with how women are portrayed, I
sure,
think men should be disgusted at what they think we want in a video game. Like
I
if you
think
if
that
you
you're
look
right.
into it that way, it's just like you just know people at EA are just like, okay, so how big of tits can we put in there where we'll get some of the
Absolutely.
female market, but we'll get all of the guys because every guy is a drooling fucking idiot.
I am almost 100% positive that they have focus grouped that number.
Absolutely. And
That
that's why
that
I
cup
think
size, I guess.
and I actually started a feature that I haven't been able to get back to on Pixel Response called Breaking Balls,
Okay.
which focuses on why men should be as outraged about gender politics even more so than women, because all of the gender politics that deal with women specifically reflect on what society thinks of men.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. You and I think these things. I
Yes,
don't think the vast majority of people do.
absolutely not.
I mean, you look at the random idiot that calls me the N word for posting a video that they don't understand, and I can tell you that is more representative of the gaming community than the people who actually understand anything that their eyes don't glass over when they hear the words gender politics.
Right.
So, and that's a sad commentary on, I think, the state of, the world, really. I think that people don't get into these issues like they should.
And to be completely honest, like, I mean, of course, when I see a certain type of woman, I will, like, look at them. And,
Well,
I
mean, Paul, we have talks about these things. Your parents should have talked to you first, but I'm willing to go through these topics. Do you get a feeling in your pants when you look at these types of women? Don't answer that question.
No. Things are getting way too weird.
Paul, we can talk about this. We can talk.
No, I guess what I'm saying, like, is that it's totally okay for sexuality to be overabundant and for people to be into it.
Sure.
I think people need to understand more specific things so they can make correct judgment calls, though.
I would say that's fair. I also would say that, Jesus, we can go all night on this issue. The thing is, if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty, as we were saying before, look at what happened last night. Did you watch the presidential debate? I don't want to get too political here, but there's a connection that we can make. Did you watch the debate at all?
Okay, so this is where the Canadian comes out in me.
I know America is everything. So
I know the things that happen in your country directly affect the rest of the world just due to the influence that America has in, like, the global economy.
Sure.
But I don't give a shit about anything you guys do politically.
That's fair. And I think that's actually how it pretty much should be. Here's what happened last night, and this is something that is going to be a topic now because of the way it went down.
Mm-hmm.
Mitt Romney, who, I mean, I'm not going to really get into my politics. I've worked in politics, so I kind of have a different view on things than a lot of people. I'd sort of take a hands-off approach just because I know that it's all manipulative game.
Absolutely. Nobody wins it either.
No, never. Well, yes, they do. The corporations win it, but that's just a whole.
No, I mean, we don't win it. Real people don't. Oh no, wait, Mitt Romney said that corporations are people.
I'm not. Apparently, that makes me not a person. I don't know.
Or are we corporations?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Existentialism on Pixel Response.
Interesting. Wow. I didn't think of it. Whoa, man, blew my mind. No, but there was a question that basically they did a town hall debate. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies who asked a question about women's equal pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know this about American, law or American politics. There's no law preventing employers from basically discriminating against women on their salaries.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that.
So there was there's a question about what are you going to do about, it was actually asked to Obama, what are you going to do about the inequality in pay for women? And he answered something about, God, it's hard not to get too political geeky.
Did he say the words middle class?
A billion times. That's why we're all today. But no, he pointed out correctly that he helped sign into law the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which is basically letting people sue for pay, basically if they know that the same job is being done by a man that is getting different, or the higher pay, she's allowed to sue no matter when she figures it out. Which it was a very good law, but it's not nearly far enough. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The end of the day, though. He's going on about the Lilly Ledbetter Act, about what he's going to do to help equal pay. It's mostly just hollow platitudes. But they get to Romney, and his response is, I'm going to make it so that we grow the economy so that women are able to get jobs and good jobs so that they will so that the employers will let the women go home early to take care of their kids.
He didn't actually say those words.
I could look up the quote. It's
there's no way. Like, I know.
He dodged the question completely.
I know Bush was that stupid.
He dodged the question.
Yeah.
He didn't want to answer about, because the little secret that he doesn't want to tell you is he's actually against it.
Yeah.
He didn't support it, and now.
Oh no, he's against it because he wants to be right now. Give it a week.
Yeah, well, there's that discussion too, but he's actually against Lilly Ledbetter Act. He's actually against the equal pay types of amendments. He thinks he wants to take. I mean, if you don't want to demonize the guy, you can say the fact that he wants to take a hands-off approach to regulation in the economy. That's fine, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't actually. Spoiler alert for people who don't know anything about American politics: the president has no role in that anyway. So
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
I don't even know why we're discussing it in terms of those issues with presidential candidates, but that's cool. Whatever, doesn't matter. But he actually he went there. He said his whole answer was that we want to make sure that women can go home to their kids early. So and we have to grow the economy for that to happen. It's like, okay, great. Then it gets better though.
Okay.
We asked a question about gun control.
Great. Okay.
He comes in and somehow, because he doesn't want to, again, these sorts of things, that he lets them slip because of the fact that he wants to avoid a question.
Yes.
And we wonder why there's a gender gap. But he basically goes onto this whole rant about how it needs the family structure in America is why there's a lot of gun violence. Therefore, we need to change the culture of single parenting.
Okay.
Parent homes are the reason why we're getting people killed, or why people are going on spree murders and stuff like that. He literally compared being a single mother, having a single parent, to any kind of a reason why there's spree killings. I mean,
I just love the idea that the president could somehow fix that.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's going to change the culture. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, whatever.
But I mean, this is an off topic sort of but I'm going to really get back to that. He's catching a lot of shit about gender politics today.
Yeah.
He's had to answer a lot of questions. In fact, I was talking to my mom. I delayed the podcast for an hour because I had to go over to my parents' house. I was talking to my mom. She got robocalled by Romney today, because she's voted for Democrats for like 50 years. So, I mean, whatever. She's never going to vote for them. But
Yeah.
It's weird that she got robocalled and whatever. It doesn't matter. But it was all about women's issues.
Mm-hmm.
From Romney.
Yeah. Because he's doing damage control.
Doing damage control.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a lot of people out there. He's not just saying these things are focus group things he's saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are ridiculously misogynist when it comes to gender roles, and this is why these things can end up working. This is why in video games you don't have very strong female characters very often. This is why in television, strong female characters, they're often just called bitches. They're often just completely disregarded. And now I'm sure that you can argue that early on in this conversation I fell into that role because I was saying that I dislike Andrew's character, but I think that necessarily I'm going to defend myself a little bit here. I think she's a terribly written character, and I think they spent more. I would have probably liked her a little bit more if they didn't spend so much time making her storm off and then shoot characters that I liked.
Well, onto that note, then, like I think the onus really has to fall on the people creating these characters, like for them to not look like a bitch, like
chicken type of thing.
When people make a strong female character, they make her a bitch because it's the easy way out without any character development, and that's the wrong way to go. So, like,
Fair.
Really, the problem starts with the people creating the characters in the first place. They're not creating them in a capacity where people can feel comfortable with a female character that's stronger than they are in real life. And, like a female character does not have to be just a total bitch.
No, it's true.
But I'm wondering if that's just because it's playing to societal norms where people recognize a strong character by how they act and talk, more so than the actions they perform. That's a whole different conversation we could get into, I guess.
I might be a misogynist now that I'm thinking about this. While you're going on that, and this is really part of my ADD. Blame it on my ADD, baby. I was just thinking, I can't think of a single female character in the last maybe 10 years that I've really liked on screen.
Okay.
This is really kind of sad, but I'm looking at my DVD sets that are kind of sitting next to me in my room here. I see Sons of Anarchy. I don't really like Maggie Stiff's character. I don't really like Gemma. I really hate a lot of the tertiary female characters.
Does that cross over to movie roles as well?
Here's what I was thinking. The Departed, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I hated every female character on that show, or on that movie too. I thought that the chick, the psychiatrist chick was annoying. I thought that she didn't really have any kind of she didn't really. First of all, she was dumb. Like she didn't kind of get any of the jokes that either character was telling her. She
Yeah.
sort of ended up being overly needy and overly, dependent on everybody.
Right.
Then I thought about another one. Another movie I loved would be Inception. That was one of my favorite movies of that year and in general.
Hmm.
I didn't really. I mean, the only character I could really argue that I cared about at all would be Ellen Page's character,
Hmm.
and it. I hated Maul. The chick was the worst.
Yeah, she was.
So I'm just thinking. I'm like,
To be completely fair, though, Maul
chick.
was more than anything just kind of like the tormented mind of Leonardo DiCaprio's character, more so than anything.
Yeah, but I didn't feel any sympathy for it at all. I don't know. Like I said, maybe that's just my latent misogyny, but I didn't feel any sympathy for her.
See, I was
And
sympathetic for her because she was brought into something she wasn't ready to deal with, and it ruined her, like the actual character.
yeah, oh yeah, and I'm not the reflection, but the actual character. Yeah, I mean, I can see it, and I see how maybe I should feel that way. I just don't. Okay, so I'm looking at my DVD set here or sets here and stuff like that. Fight Club. I mean, I didn't really like the chick that much. She was okay,
Marla?
I guess. Marla was okay, I guess, but not really great. She ended up just being needy at the end of the movie too. She started out as a nihilist and ended up as just as needy as anybody else.
Actually, you know what has really good female characters? Are you into Firefly or Serenity?
I've heard that, and I have not gotten into it.
Okay, because Kaylee Sanders, I think is her name. No, Kaylee Sanders is totally Mass Effect. Kaylee something, Kaylee Fry, played by Jewel State, is one of the best female characters I've seen because she's an engineer chick. She fixes the ship up all the time. She's smart and she isn't afraid to like get into like her own sexuality and stuff, but she does it in a way that isn't slutty. Like she is a really well written character.
I have heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep looking on my thing here. Okay, I watched Alias. I was a big fan of Alias. I did like Cindy Bristow, so there we go.
I never saw Alias, but if you can find something, I'm happy for you.
Thanks, because that was really starting to bug me there. I'm not somebody who would consider himself offhand a misogynist, but I'm having trouble. Matrix trilogy, I hated Trinity, which is the worst.
Yeah, but then see, if you get into like stuff that's even made for women in movies, like movies are a completely different thing than video games because chick flicks, the female characters in those are not strong either.
That's true.
So like it's kind of weird the whole dichotomy you get when you look at the different mediums.
Okay, was there a worse chick in a movie, in a superhero movie, by the way, than Maggie Gyllenhaal in Batman? Oh, the worst.
Like specifically
Terrible.
when Maggie Gyllenhaal was playing, like as Katie Holmes, she was a little better.
She was okay, but I mean, I didn't really care about her still.
But yeah, Megan Gyllenhaal, when she took the reins in that movie, that character turned into the most needy. She was the damsel in distress in that movie.
Pretty much, and completely useless. I'll say that have you seen Dark Knight Rises?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just didn't want to spoil it completely. Well, I'm not going to spoil it, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about. I might just be tired. I didn't mind Anne Hathaway. I think she was okay.
I didn't either. Actually, Selena Kyle as the Catwoman in the Batman series has always been one of my favorites in terms of gender politics because they do some really interesting stuff with her.
She's all right.
She is basically the female Batman in those comics and stuff. So
that's fair. Okay, now I do see a one. Okay, there we go. I got one. I'm feeling good now.
Right.
I have Body of Lies over there with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's pretty good. It's not something you would think would be amazing. I actually heard an interview with the person who wrote the book, and that kind of got me onto the movie. And I watched it, and I'm also in love with Leonardo DiCaprio. So go figure that one out. But there's a you know what? This would be an interesting conversation too, when you get into foreign women.
Yeah, you know what? I was actually just about to bring that up because I was looking at the movie Old Boy, and specifically in cultures where women are more subservient than anything else, they get portrayed really badly.
Really?
A lot of times. Yeah, a lot of Asian stuff, like they get treated like... They either get treated like the sexy schoolgirl type, character love interest thing, or they just get slaughtered because it's fun to watch a pretty girl get bloody.
Okay. See, I didn't necessarily mean foreign movies, but movies like maybe in domestic movies where foreign women are portrayed, because
Okay.
the in Body of Lies, there's a woman from I believe it was Iran. I
Okay.
think she's Iranian. I'm not entirely sure there, but she might be Saudi, but she's in Jordan. I mean, this is so convoluted, but she's in Jordan, and she's actually a very strong character that I ended up liking.
Yeah.
It was a love interest for Leo, but she wasn't defined by the fact she was a love interest. So okay, I'm feeling better now.
This this is a conversation I think we should get in with Nathan because I know he has a vast, crazier knowledge of different types of films. Like
Okay,
where my knowledge of films kind of ends is I'm into a lot of stuff that a lot of people will see and
agree,
horror. Like you could
agree.
ask me stuff about horror, I'm in there. Or like stuff that a lot of people will see, I'm in there, and maybe some like obscure stuff like cult hits that I like. I do watch some foreign films, but I know he is really into that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I
he
don't
would,
have the breadth of knowledge he does either, though. I mean, he's way better or more knowledgeable about film than I am. I'm like you. I'm kind of into the pop stuff, and that's about it.
and
Not that I'm
to be
disliking.
completely fair about that too, he did work in a video store where he got as many free rentals as he wanted every week, and he was in a film studies class where every time they went to class, they were just shown a film.
That helps.
Yeah.
That would definitely help. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, I feel like I should watch more, but I haven't gotten into it yet.
Just don't have
It's
time
just
for it.
no, you just don't. And I think that I should, but I shouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough.
Pretty
But yeah,
much.
it's interesting. It's an interesting discussion because the role of, I mean, this is so way freaking. Who would have thought this topic was going to come up? But the role of women in media is kind of interesting, and I feel like it's the way it's been done recently. Just wrapping this whole thing up, the way it's been done in the last 5-10 years, especially as related to video games and movies and TV, they've made it so that I don't like those characters, and I don't like that in general because I'm kind of the kind of guy who will, I am all about women's rights. You know what I mean? I'm the kind of guy who will fight for women's rights. I have in the past, that sort of thing. So it's like I don't know why a guy who nominally is in support of women's rights should hate every woman character out there.
It's just kind of weird because there have been movies in the past, like the first three Alien movies with Ripley. She was
Sure,
very strong.
absolutely.
Um, like even Terminator, Sarah Connor, even though they did kind of turn her into a bitch, but then again, in two, but then again, after all the stuff she saw in one, she kind of lost her mind. She was in a mental hospital.
Right.
So, like, I guess that makes sense. Like, she was a really strong character as well. So, like, there hasn't always been that kind of, like, plastic Barbie doll mentality where they're there to be seen, not heard, and then killed off.
Are you a Hunger Games nerd like I am? I
No.
actually do like it quite a bit. I don't know
No.
why.
No. The reason for that, I don't know anything about Hunger Games except for the premise, and I have already seen Battle Royale many times.
Sure, that's fine. I actually did. I thought I was gonna hate it. Wife read it, and she actually had. It was on their summer reading list for the school for some reason.
Hmm.
Don't ask me why. That's something that they wanted the kids to read. I think they probably assumed the kids were gonna read it anyway, so they put it on the list.
Yeah.
But she was talking about it. She's like, oh, this is a great book. Blah blah blah. It's not necessarily uh, incredible literature, but you should read it. So I was like, it's Twilight 2, yada yada yada. I
Yeah.
was talking crap about it, and she's like, "No, just read it." And as the movie was about to come out, I heard some people that I sort of respected their opinions and said they loved it. So I was like, "All right, fine, I'll give it a shot." The way that and this is a discussion I'd love to have with you too about the same issue, but the first book, she is such a strong character, and she's a great, role model for uh, young women. She's a great, strong character, not necessarily held down by any of the gender roles, the typical gender roles in books and in film and or anything like that. But then she is booked two at the end of book two, and then all the way through book three. It falls into the same pitfalls that I really hate about the Coos character. So it's kind of another interesting case study in modern film.
Well, and like you brought up Twilight, and I think that is
The worst.
that's the single franchise that has set women's rights and gender politics back about 1,000 years.
Well, yeah, because the chick has nothing. Her whole,
Her whole existence is predicated on who she wants to allow into her
yeah,
pants.
exactly. Ugh,
And
worst.
like, if
Wife
I
all that shit too.
I haven't read them and I haven't like I've read cliff notes about what happens and stuff like
I
that.
haven't
So, well, the reason I got interested in that is because with the whole gender politics thing, I wanted to read up on Bella because a lot of women hate her
what?
character and a lot of
Uh,
women love it.
be honest. What was her name?
Bella.
No, no, the chick that made you watch it.
No, no, I've never seen Twilight.
Okay,
I just read
okay.
cliff notes and wiki stuff.
All right. Well, the chick that suggested you watch it, then or
And
something.
from what I can gather, it's just weird because besides the whole time she's mopey and stuff because she doesn't have a
Oh,
boyfriend, like she's the neediest person ever, and that story is more about like her identity when she finds a man. And it's really kind of disgusting because those films really appeal to the more or less defined minds of like the younger generation and stuff. So it's really kind of interesting to see what's going to happen, like what the consequences of such a dangerous piece of literature and pop culture will do in the future. But I guess time will tell with that one.
this is why we should ban books.
Like in a way, I think what needs to happen more than anything is there needs to be a better education system where it's not about learning facts, it's about teaching kids how to take in what's around their world and like filter it according to what they think.
I mean, the root of this problem is the same discussion about, should you
Single mothers, you're right.
give? Well, yeah, it's Mitt Romney was right.
He was right all along.
Damn it. No, it comes back to the whole thing about do you buy your, 2-year-old daughter an easy bake oven, or do you buy her, what kind of toys dolls or machine guns or something?
It's
It's like
funny you say that because
it's comes to the same debate.
I was in a Toys R Us the other day with my girlfriend looking for
Whoa.
a toy
Okay.
for her friend's newly born daughter. And in the toy
Dug
section,
yourself out of the hole. That was good.
no, it's true. In the toy section, there was these old phones we used to have as kids. They've been around forever. They were white with a red handle and like blue little wheels and a face on them.
Uh-huh.
It's just like this old little toy phone, and they made a one that's pink, and I got infuriated because why? For one thing, I hate it when people change a classic just to fit this whole like gender stereotype. But
Yeah.
more than anything, the fact that she actually bought her friend's daughter the pink one, I was a little upset with because, like, it's unnecessary when the normal blue and red one is the exact same thing. But then,
Yeah.
like, we got into this whole not argument, but I was saying like if I ever have like a son or something and he wants to play with a Barbie, I will fight other parents and be like, yeah, he has a Barbie. What are you gonna do about it, you fucking loser?
Yeah.
Like, I will fight for that to
I will
happen.
fight any
I will.
new parent.
I
I'm
will.
just kidding.
I will fight
fight.
all of you.
You don't let that kid have a Barbie. I will fight you.
But then
Yeah.
it also brought in other thoughts in my mind. It actually got me thinking for quite a while. But like, there's nothing wrong with a little girl liking pink more than blue. So like, maybe this whole gender thing is really more in my mind than it should be. Like, I don't know. It was a whole crisis I was
No,
having.
I actually think I'm not necessarily off board with that, because I think that getting back to the Twilight thing, we're creating a culture where you have not Andreas but Laurie's running around because of the fact that they grew up realizing that there's books talking about their people's self-worth being in the relationships.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think you're creating a culture where you're giving women a raw deal a little bit. You're creating something where they're looking at it like, oh, okay, well, I have to find my, what are the two? Damn it, is it Jacob and, oh, who's the other one? I know that
What are we talking about?
Twilight.
Oh, Team Jacob and Team Edward.
Edward. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's like, I have to find my Jacob, or I have to find my Edward.
Yeah.
And this is what's this is the end. It's the end of the world if I don't have a boyfriend. Blah blah blah. Meanwhile, guys, they don't. We are the same way in a certain respect, in that we, as we're losers if we don't have a girlfriend in high school or something like that. But
Yeah.
when we're growing up, you don't have that whole thing until much later. The girls that are starting to read these books are what, 12, 13?
Mm-hmm.
maybe 16, 17, if you don't have a girlfriend, you're kind of screwed, but they're already yearning for some guy to take them away to, build them a palace or something like that.
Yeah.
And their entire, you know, purpose at that point is to freaking find a guy. I mean, come on, what is that crap?
Well, I think it might even go back all the way to like back when before like technology and all this modern like stuff and women being like physically smaller and weaker generally
Sure.
would have to latch onto men for survival, and then and the other way, like how kids would make fun of you if you didn't have a girlfriend. That's the whole instinctual thing where it's like, well, if a man is not able to
Not suited enough
procreate,
for dating, yeah,
yeah,
I get that, but I don't know. I mean, I think that that's not really how society is anymore. We don't need to gather our food. We don't need to be hunters. We're just in a modern society. Women can work just as well as men.
yeah.
They can do X, Y, or Z the same as men can. So why are we continuing to perpetuate those stereotypes?
If you want to
And the
trace
reason
it
is
back
'cause
to
men
anything,
do it.
well, it's probably education system, because when people don't have the free thinking or like forward or like a good knowledge of stuff around them, they revert back to instinctual needs.
Wow, this is a very interesting turn that this podcast has taken.
Oh yeah, we're still recording.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice. But yeah, wrapping it up. Walking Dead. I liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
was good.
um. Okay. I want to say one more thing about Walking Dead.
Okay, do it.
Well, not specifically about Walking Dead, but you seem to be into zombie films as well, or zombie
Sure.
media in general.
Yeah.
When did it become canon that zombies, when you shoot them in the head, die? Because if you look at stuff like Return of the Living Dead, I'm really intrigued by the zombies that no matter what you do, they're still coming after you. Like in that film, even if you
Okay.
cut the body parts apart, like their body parts will still like quiver and shake and try to get you.
Well, I think that that's just the zombie canon. I think in any kind of a different zombie story, you have different zombie rules.
Yes.
So walkers or crawlers or whatever, walkers or runners or how that is everybody infected or is it just the people who have are currently zombies? There's a lot of different decisions that you have to make when you create your zombie universe.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't think there's any kind of a set thing. The whole headshots thing I think has spewed out of a number of recent movies, including Zombieland, which for whatever, I mean, this is going to infuriate people who are really zombie purists, but that shitty movie really has made zombie culture in America anyway more mainstream, and therefore those rules that they used in that one have become something more of this is the zombie canon that we generally accept. They're walkers usually,
Hmm.
and and I think that's part of that is just that it frightens people less that they're walkers, whereas in 28 Days Later they're sprinting at people. That's, I mean, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, I got no shot. So I think that actually, I think I just stumbled upon something. I think it's a little bit less intimidating when you can kill them.
Right.
People, the reason why zombie literature, why zombie film is kind of popular in this country, in my country, your communist country over there. I don't know exactly how popular it is. I assume it's about the same since you're America Junior. You're
Yeah.
America Hat,
Yeah.
but
Well, we're America version 2.0.
the hat, like I said.
Yeah.
It's just like the Reddit meme, the you're the scumbag hat. So
Scumbag hat.
scumbag Steve, our neighbor to the north. No, but I think that people in America love zombie literature and that sort of stuff because we want to think that we can live through it. So
Right.
we think that we can stockpile, we think we can shoot, and nobody can. Nobody can stockpile, nobody can shoot, nobody can survive. Anyway, that's not neither here nor there. But I think that if there's no way to kill them, that they just keep coming at you,
Hmm.
then that's too scary. We don't get that. We don't buy that.
Oh,
We kind
see,
of
that's what I crave, because even when it comes to like the slasher flicks, that's what I like about Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and like Jason Voorhees and stuff. They're just kind of the impending force that you can never stop.
yeah. No, I definitely can see the appeal of that as well. Here's what I want to know,
Mhm.
just from a scientific perspective or from the perspective of looking at this realistically. Why are we getting zombie literature where these things don't decompose?
Yeah. I don't understand that either.
I mean,
Actually,
they're
that
fresh zombies, you know? They're all over the place. They're just continually fresh and they stay there. It's like, really? I mean, these things are already decaying.
well
How are
that
they not
that
going?
topic is actually brought upon like George Romero. I mean, arguably the godfather of the
Sure.
modern zombie movement, if you wanted to call it that. Like in Night of the Living Dead, this was just happening. Like everything was fine, and then like dead guys just started walking around, so they were fresh. And Dawn of the Dead, the movie that came after, they were a little more decomposed. They were the zombies that you would see normally, and I think it's a lot to do with the special effects he had to work with. Obviously,
Of course.
back in like '78 or whenever the first one came out, it was just guys that looked really pale.
Sure,
And then
sure.
in the second one, they looked like zombies as we know it. But then in Day of the Dead, they were decomposing. They were falling apart, stumbling towards people. So I think it's interesting that he did that.
Bringing up Day by Day Armageddon again. Have you read it, by the way?
I haven't yet, no.
Absolutely outstanding stuff. It's actually written from a military perspective, which I'm kind of a nerd for that sort of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But they have an explanation for it and of this whole phenomenon. They have zombies that are decomposing. They get slower. They're less, ferocious. They still want brains or whatever. I guess just to eat humans, but they decompose.
Mm-hmm.
But the cities where, because I guess the thing that, oh man, that's another thing. I love the part of the zombie stories where they talk about how they got to this point. And
Oh,
there's
have you
so
read
much.
World War Z?
Yeah, it's a great
It's
book.
so good.
It's a pretty good book. I actually like Day Armageddon better, but it's a pretty good book. I liked it a
I
lot.
like that book because it reminds me of a found footage horror film with
Exactly.
like just a whole bunch of journal entries from people all around the world at the same time when this outbreak started
And
happening.
the start of the outbreak is the thing that I find the most interesting. But anyway, he gets into this whole thing with the idea that they would try to nuke the cities, and then it was the radiation from the nukes that prevented the bacteria from growing on them, from decomposing and that sort of thing, which was an interesting way to put it. And then they became kind of nuclear super zombies, which is quite scary.
Yeah.
But I just I don't know why that, especially in Walking Dead and stuff like that, they haven't addressed the whole fact that these things should be decomposing. I mean, it's not like the zombie plague wiped out the flies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Zombie flies, that'd be scary.
that would oh man, that would be bad actually. Or
Yeah.
like mosquitoes like spreading it like malaria.
Oh, I know. It'd be brutal, man.
Weird. Africa would get hit so bad.
Yeah, it'd be the end. Africa always gets fucked out of these things, don't they?
Switching gears a little bit to vampires. Have you
Oh,
ever noticed have you ever noticed that if you took all the weaknesses that have been in vampire lore and put them into one vampire, they would be weaker than human beings? Because like how can you kill them? Their weaknesses are stake to the heart, silver, sunlight, decapitation, drowning, fire, garlic, holy, anything holy, running water. Some of them you can't if you don't invite them into the house, they can't come in to get you, and they are OCD.
so it's like not only are they the only, all you have to do is let them out at during the day, and you're pretty much good to go. I mean,
They're basically like mentally challenged people that when the sun hits their skin, they die.
how did we somehow turn that into sexy time? That's what I want to know. Vampires are the worst.
They're
I don't know.
It's weird though because like the idea of them is great because
Sure, Blade, man.
because when you take all those weaknesses and look at them that way, it's ridiculous. But like usually in the different stories and stuff, they'll have one weakness, but some
Yeah.
of them don't have any weakness at all. Like I can't remember what it was. I think Have you seen 30 Days of Night?
I haven't, and I actually wanted to.
I think
Oh,
their weakness is obviously sun. So
sure.
like it makes sense that this story would be taking place in Alaska where it's completely dark for 1 month because of
Right,
like
right.
the way the earth rotates and stuff like that. So they get to just feed a whole bunch for 30 days. It's actually really quite cool. And in that respect, that is great because you get to see vampires that like nothing really kills them except
Right.
the sunlight. And there's no sunlight, so like you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Josh Hartnett. So
He's
dreamy.
he's dreamy.
Yeah.
And scene.
Yeah, we should probably end this. So, if people want to reach you, what are you doing? Get all
I
that out.
am on the Awful Gamer HD YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe to us. We put out a lot of stuff. We do stuff with Paul. We do stuff with a couple of other guys that you guys are probably familiar with in this circle. Nathan's been in a couple of our videos. We do a lot of stuff that's just random gaming videos. And here's the thing: if you're watching our stuff, we're titled The Awful Gamer. Don't go on there and expect that we're going to give you a great guide for anything, because we don't. We just screw. And in fact, a lot of our videos that we pretend that we're giving you advice, we actually don't. So there's that.
Yeah.
I got some stupid comments recently.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, youtube.com/theawfulgamerhd. That's the bread and butter. That's the money maker.
Yeah.
And twitter.com/pan1cknife, PAN1CKNIFE. I don't tweet as much as I should, but I try to. Right now, I'm not tweeting very much at all right now, because during the days I've been very grumpy because I'm cutting weight for a fight this weekend, which I'm I'm going to be kickboxing. I think I might put the video up there, so if you end up following me on Twitter, you might get to see something interesting, which either will be an epic failure or a glorious victory.
Nice.
But yeah, twitter.com/pan1cknife, twitter.com/theawfulgamer, and youtube.com/theawfulgamerhd, and pixel-response.com.
That's right. I guess I'll plug a few things here. We started a new podcast on Pixel Response with John, aka Proton John, as most of you people obviously know him. We talk about retro games, and that we're actually doing a game club thing. So we're going to be suggesting a game that we're going to talk about 2 weeks from the date we suggest it, so people can write in their comments or questions about the game, and we'll just go on from there. Episode 1's already up on pixel-response.com / I believe it's Retro Kill Screen is the name. So there's that. It's brand new, so I'm still working stuff out with that. We're on episode 48, so episode 50 is going to be something special I'm going to try to plan, but I haven't worked out the logistics, so don't hold me to that. Going to try to get a whole bunch of people in for a kind of podcast spectacular live with a bunch of people talking and like in a chat room and stuff, so that should be interesting. A friend of the site on Pixel Response is doing a charity stream for 24 hours this Saturday, October 20th. His Twitch account is twitch.tv/Griffon51. That's GRYPHON51. It's for Extra Life, so go ahead, donate to him. You donate on a per hour basis, so since it's 24 hours, if you donated $1 per hour, you would be paying $24. It's for a good cause. It's for the kids. Go ahead and do that. I'll be posting.
Kids.
Huh?
The kids.
The kids. Yeah. So go ahead, do that. I'll be posting more about that, and I will be jumping into the stream at some random point on the 20th because I'm busy that day, so I can't stay around. And depending how many people are there, you will be receiving a prize. Someone will be receiving a prize. I'm not going to go ahead and announce what that is, but if there's over 100 people, it will be a nominal prize. So look out for that. Other than that, as always, facebook.com/thepixelresponse. You can email podcast@pixel-response.com. Twitter's @pixel_response. You can get me at Exposure, EXFAUXSURE. You can get Nathan at Krasnor, KRAZNOR. As always, listen to us on Stitcher if you don't want to. Yeah, Zed. Listen to us on Stitcher if you don't want to download the episode. They make this file size really, really tiny so you can stream it, not waste your bandwidth if you have smartphones, which all of you do. And as always, pixel-response.com for more. And that'll do it. So
thanks for having me, buddy.
As always, man, we'll be doing more stuff because apparently we have a lot more to talk about than just media.
I know, right?
Yeah. So we'll see all you guys next week.